Touch is a nose boop to the palm of our hand. We can use this as a way to redirect him away from something unwanted, or just as a fun way to keep him warmed up and ready for training.
Boy. Nice job. Sit. Yes. Down. Yes. Sit. Rory. Sit. Yes. Down. Yes. Good job.
Rory,
With recall, we're going to call his name and say, come. As soon as he turns to look at us, we're going to mark yes and begin praising him all the way to us and then rewarding with a treat. Come when called is one of those ones we don't want to rush, and we want to make sure we're practicing often.
Yes,
so one way to practice
Rory,
is by practicing in the backyard, calling randomly, rewarding, and letting him go back. Another way to continue to practice is by using a long leash and going out either to the front yard or into public spaces and parks where it's a little bit more distracting and a little bit more challenging, but we can keep up that reinforcement history for recalling. If we call and he does not come right away or turn to look at us, we're going to do some kind of noise or something exciting to get his attention. And then when he turns to look at us, we will mark yes and continue praising and rewarding as we have done before. Place means go there, lay there, and stay there until released. Rory's release word is free, and he knows not to get up until he's heard that word. So in this session, this is what I would call a formal training session where I'm specifically working with him on duration between reinforcement as well as distraction. So you see me doing some different things here, running around, dropping things, moving, opening doors, starting to go out of sight. And then periodically you'll see me come back to him and I'm tossing him a treat on the bed. It's really important that when we reinforce, we give him the treat on the bed versus handing it directly to his mouth. We want him to know that all the rewards come from being on the bed and to stay put and not try to get up and meet me for it. If he gets up like he just did there, it's a simple reset, send him back to his place and continue on. When you reset, do not reward right away for going back on the bed. We want to make him work a little bit for it, so you would send him back with place, do a little something, walk away, add some duration, a distraction, then come back and reward. Another great way to practice is get the whole family involved, get the kids involved by playing like a Simon Says type game where you stand near Rory and reinforce him and have the kids do things like jump around, run around, toss a toy across the room, a dog toy that is, and kind of encourage some practice of distraction. Another way to practice place is in real time. I call this passive training when we're practicing in real time. So right here, we're getting ready to eat dinner. I've got the bed laid out, so you can see Rory's already on there as I'm moving around the kitchen. And periodically, what I'm going to do is toss him a reward. In the kitchen, I typically use something like string cheese so that it's high value and also something I don't mind touching and then touching my own food. So you can see here, we're sitting down eating dinner, and periodically throughout dinner, I'm tossing him treats. If you don't feel like your tossing game is good enough to throw back that far, of course, move him closer so that you can get him those treats often, as long as he's still in the bed. If he gets up, no big deal. Like that, I had to leave the room to do something with my toddler. So you can see he stuck around for quite a long time. So my husband jumped in there and did some rewarding for me as well. So just making sure everybody's kind of on board when you're in these scenarios. But it's a great way to practice in real life scenarios and in times when you may actually want your dogs to always place. I love the idea of dogs being on their place during dinner so they're not bothering you, especially when you have guests. So if you make this a regular occurrence and he understands that if he chooses the bed when you guys sit at the dinner table and he's going to get rewarded for it, you're going to see him start to do that automatically and you won't even have to bother asking. The reason I call this passive training is because when we got started, I didn't ask him to place. I just simply set the conditions up by putting the bed in the kitchen. And because this is something regular, he knows what that means. But by setting the bed up there so he understands that that's an option for him. And if he chooses it, I will reward it. And I call it passive because I'm not asking for place, because when I'm doing something like eating, I have a toddler, I cannot always get the reinforcement right at the right pace that he needs, like I do when I'm doing formal training. So I do this where all I do is I'm capturing good behavior by rewarding him when he chooses the bed. That way, if he gets up, it's really no big deal. I don't say anything. I continue on doing what I'm doing, which in this situation would be eating dinner. And when he goes back to his bed, he will get rewarded. So he gets rewarded for staying on his bed, and nothing happens when he gets up. So we're not really using a release word in this scenario when we do this passive training until he gets a lot better at it. And then we're working on that formal training where I'm really practicing the stay with the release word. Wait means stop and do not go any further. So in this scenario, we're practicing at the front door with a package at the door. So I'm going to cue him to wait, step out, get the package, come back in, and then I can reward him once the door is closed. So in this scenario, unlike a stay, I don't mind if he stands, sits, or downs. He's even welcome to walk the opposite direction through the house as long as he does not go any further. So same thing here. I've asked him to wait as I go up the stairs. And then once I'm up there, if I want him to follow me, I can use that release word to release him to come up and down the stairs. This is great for safety so that you don't have a dog tripping you as you go up and down the stairs. We're also going to use wait anytime we go out on a walk and release him out the front door. The big difference is you saw in that first scenario, I didn't use a release word because I wasn't letting him cross the line. So as long as I'm not letting him cross the line, he doesn't need released. Leave it means do not touch that thing you were going for. One way you can practice is in a formal training session like this where you practice dropping treats or other items that he may be interested in. When he goes for it, cue leave it, and then be prepared to step in front of him like you saw me do if he goes for it.
Leave it.
In real life, when he does a leave it, you want to make sure that we're still rewarding. So when he does it, you're going to mark yes and reward him. If you don't have a treat on you, you're going to do a praise party all the way to the cookie jar so he still gets rewarded. Drop it means let go of the thing that is in your mouth. Just like with leave it, we can practice in formal training sessions where we put something on the ground that we know he'll be interested in, and then call drop it. When he lets go, make sure we mark and reward. Obviously, this is also something that could be practiced in real time when things happen, like in this scenario. We just want to make sure that as soon as he lets go of it, right now while he is young and learning, we are still heavily rewarding. So when he lets go, we're going to mark yes and do a praise party all the way to the cookie jar to get him that reward. Let's go. All right, so I'm out on my walk with Rory. He has been doing really great with walking, but I'm going to show you kind of the main things that we do out on our walk. So the main thing is we are rewarding good choices. What this means is when he's walking next to us, just like he is, yes, I'm going to mark and reward him for that. If he's walking in front of me, but still walking on a loose leash, yes, I'm going to mark and reward that. If he offers me attention during some time that's distracting, some kind of distraction pops up, I'm going to reward that. And we're just going to continue rewarding all those good choices that he makes. And when he's walking the way we want him to, let's go. Yes, good boy. And the more we reward those behaviors, good boy, the more we're going to see those behaviors pop up. Oop, you just tangled yourself, bud. There we go. So that's kind of the main gist of what we're doing out on a walk. We do want to allow him time to sniff, check things out. It's very important for dogs to get that opportunity. And I would say especially for Rory because he's not prone to trying to sniff too much. And so when he has that opportunity, I want to give him that chance. When I'm ready to move on, and if he hasn't moved on yet, I'm going to cue him, let's go, and we're going to start to walk. Yes, once he follows through, we will mark yes and reward again. Good boy. Let's go. And then we're going to just continue on our walk, continuing to reward those good choices. Yes, good boy. Good boy. All right, so I hear a car coming. Oh, it's the bus. Over. So over, yes, is the cue I use to teach him to get off to the side. This helps us get off the road when we have something coming, since we do not have sidewalks in our neighborhood. Let's go. And then I'm going to cue him, yes, let's go again when we're ready to move. So the main thing with walking is just rewarding those good choices. Keep telling him what is doing well and what you'd like. Oh, all right. So as we continue on our walk, you'll see that's just kind of the main thing that we're doing here. Rory's not doing a lot of pulling. Yes. And if we just continue to reward these good choices, you shouldn't have any issues with him doing much pulling even as he gets older. Good boy. Because we've built such a strong foundation for walking next to us. Right now you can see I'm rewarding often. I would say we are rewarding somewhere between 100% to 75% of the good choices right now. And then just as he gets better and better, you're just going to slowly wean off of it. Yes. But if you want to continue to get this behavior, him walking really nicely at our side, you want to make sure that you are weaning him off of the treats very slowly and still rewarding often. So make sure you have your treats out on walks with you so that we don't miss any opportunities to reinforce all the good behavior that Rory is doing. Yes. Good boy. Good boy. And the last thing I want to show you this way is the cue this way. So this way just lets him know we're changing directions so he can follow us. Yes. He is very averse to any kind of tugging on him with the leash, even just like a light pull. So we want to make sure that we aren't just yanking him around just because he's small, and making sure that we're cueing him and letting him know, hey, I'm changing directions, or hey, we're moving on, right, with that let's go or this way, so he knows what's going on and we're not doing any tugging to make wearing the leash and harness aversive for him. Yes, good boy. But you can see he's very food motivated, so he's always willing to train. So if you have those treats on you, he's going to be ready to go with you. I'm going to let him stop and sniff again. Good boy. Yes, good boy. Nice job. Also, keeping in mind that when you're out on a walk with him, just praising him, talking to him, keeping it, fun and engaging for him so he wants to stay engaged with you on the walk as well. Those are all really important pieces to the loose leash walking. Good boy, Rory. Last is enrichment. It's a really important piece of our dogs' lives. Enrichment just means allowing our dogs to do dog-specific behaviors. So this is going to be playtime, walking time, free time out in the yard to just be a dog, whether that's chewing on a stick, rolling around in the grass, whatever that may look like. If for our dogs that love other dogs, play dates, snuggle time, love with us, playtime with us as well. And then also things like puzzle toys. It's a great way to add some mental enrichment into our dog's day by either using treats or even just using it for his mealtime. So in this video here, he's doing a snuffle mat for his dinner. So this is a great way to build in that enrichment and that activity level that is needed for our dogs to have a full rounded day. That's a wrap on Rory's training.